The day Olivia Brooks found the gaming PC, her boss called her the trash queen in front of a customer. He said it laughing while he shoved a wobbling cart of busted monitors toward her, but his voice cut anyway. On top of the pile was a dusty black tower with a cracked side panel and an old sticker that read Beast Mode. The guy who had dropped it off had signed the recycling slip and said he just wanted it gone before his ex threw it out. No charger, no monitor, no interest in getting a resale quote. Olivia worked at a small pawn shop on the south side of Milwaukee, the kind of place that smelled like metal, fabric softener, and stale coffee. Her job was to sort what could be sold and what went straight to the e-waste bin. When she grabbed the tower, it felt heavier than it should. Old full-sized graphics card heavy. She pried the side panel with a flathead, sawdust bunnies, an ancient high-end GPU, and 4 hard drives stacked like forgotten bricks. First mini victory. Real hardware. She convinced her boss to log it in for $10 on the books. He rolled his eyes and told her it was dead tech. But fine, mark it as parts. That night, after closing, she hooked the tower up to a spare monitor in the back room. The fan screamed, then settled. Windows booted. A user folder named Miner1 blinked at her. On the desktop sat a folder called Payouts. And right when she clicked it, the lights in the shop flickered and the tower shut itself off. The breaker panel was in the narrow hallway that everyone pretended was not full of roaches. Olivia shuffled back there with her phone flashlight, heart racing. The shop shared the building with a nail salon and a tax prep office, and all 3 businesses were taped onto the same tired electrical system. Someone from the salon yelled through the wall asking if she had killed the power again. She flipped the breaker back up, saw a spark, and heard her boss from the front snapping that this was why he did not let her mess with old junk after hours. Mini Crisis 1, the machine might be fried. Mini Crisis 2, she was supposed to be out 10 minutes ago to catch the bus. She stayed. The tower rebooted slower this time, fans whining. She reached for the surge protector, pushed it away from the wall, and knelt in a sticky puddle left by a leaking air conditioner. Great. One bad move and she or the tower would be done. The system finally opened the Miner1 desktop again. She clicked Payouts a second time. Inside were text files with dates from 2011 and 2012 and a program she did not recognize. Her stomach tightened. Early Bitcoin years. She knew enough from YouTube rabbit holes to understand what that could mean. But there was a problem. The files were locked behind a password and the program threw an error every time she tried to open it. Behind her, she heard her boss closing the front gate, keys rattling, and saying that if she was staying late it was at her own risk. He did not ask why her hands were shaking. The next day she brought from home a cheap set of precision screwdrivers, a USB dock, and a small pink bottle of isopropyl alcohol she used to clean her own keyboard. Over lunch, while her boss watched sports on his phone, she moved the tower to the workbench. She powered it off, disconnected the drives one by one, and laid them on a towel like fragile bones. Each drive had a different handwritten label. One said games, one said movies, one said backup, and one had only 3 letters. BTC. She felt the chill in her fingers even though the metal was warm. The BTC drive was older, heavier, the kind of mechanical hard drive she had seen fail 100 times. She plugged it into the dock and watched her beat-up laptop struggle to mount it. First mini climax. The folders appeared. Inside was a wallet backup, a text file with a long string that looked like an address, and a simple notepad document titled "Don't Forget." She opened the note. The first line was a date from 2010. The second line was a password hint. First dog, first band, graduation year. It was so ordinary it felt unreal. She had no idea who the guy was, but in the pickup form he had used his real name. She still had the paper in the drawer. While her boss haggled over a used lawnmower at the front, Olivia quietly Googled his name, his town, his old high school mascot. Within 10 minutes she had 3 possible combinations. Her pulse roared in her ears as she typed the first one into the wallet software. Message wrong password. She tried the second. Wrong password. She swallowed, wiped her palms on her jeans, and typed the third. The loading bar froze halfway and did not move at all. Her laptop looked like it had died mid-breath. The cursor hung, the fan went quiet, and the screen stopped responding. She felt nausea creeping in. If the software had corrupted the file, that was it. Years of potential value gone because she had guessed wrong. She forced herself to count to 30, then hard restarted the laptop with a firm press of the power button. While it booted, a customer asked her if they still had the cheap Nintendo Switch in the window. Her voice sounded far away as she told him it was sold. When the system finally came back, she reopened the wallet and selected the same backup. This time the password field auto-filled with the last thing she had typed. She hit enter without giving herself time to doubt. The program spun for longer than before. Then the interface loaded fully and a number appeared next to balance. It took her brain a second to turn the digits into meaning. 32.4 Bitcoin. Not millions of coins, not a fairy tale, but still absurd money at current prices. Second mini climax. She grabbed the calculator app, checked an exchange rate tab she had open, and did the math twice to make sure she was awake. Then came the punch in the gut. The wallet showed a second line under balance. Label watch only. An even larger number, over 100 Bitcoin, but grayed out. Those coins had moved to another address years ago. They were gone. Her first instinct was disappointment so sharp she almost slammed the laptop shut. Then she realized what 32 coins still meant. It was more than she and her boss together would see from the shop in 10 years. Right away the next problem rose up. Legality. Morality. Whose money was this in the eyes of the law? She checked the intake form again. The guy had checked the box that said no returns, items abandoned, no claim after 30 days. State law gave the shop ownership of unclaimed property after a certain period. It had been 3 months, and none of that handled crypto. While she sat there trying not to hyperventilate, the bell over the door rang and the original owner walked back in. He looked thinner than when he had dropped the PC off, hoodie pulled tight, eyes drifting over the shelves without focus. Olivia watched him from behind the counter, wondering if he somehow knew. He only wanted to pawn an old guitar. No mention of the computer. While her boss tested the instrument, she made a decision that felt like stepping off a cliff. After her shift, she booked an appointment with an attorney downtown who specialized in tech and small business. She paid the consultation with nearly everything in her checking account. In a cramped office lined with file boxes, she told him the whole story. He listened without interrupting, then asked to see the paperwork, the recycling slip, the dates. He even checked the state statutes on unclaimed pawn property. His conclusion was not dramatic. By the letter of the law, the physical hardware was the shop's asset. Anything inside had never been declared, never listed, never claimed. There was no contract about digital contents. But he warned her that crypto taxes and reporting were brutal and that keeping everything secret was the fastest way to destroy herself. Mini climax, fear shifting into responsibility. On his advice, she moved the coins into a new hardware wallet bought with cash at a big box store. She filmed herself doing the transfer as proof the funds came from that old address. She opened an account on a regulated exchange, passed all the identity checks, and sold just enough to pay the lawyer, wipe her debts, and quietly buy a used Corolla that actually started in winter. Her boss noticed the car a week later and joked that she had robbed a bank. She only smiled and told him she had decided to start saving. Months passed before she touched the rest. In that time, crypto prices swung wildly. Each swing was a mini heart attack. By the time she finally made her next move, another thought had taken root. She did not want to run away. She wanted to own something. One evening the lawyer called with a question that reset everything. Had she ever thought about buying the pawn shop itself? Her boss had medical issues, bills he hinted at, a tired slump to his shoulders that had not been there when she started. When he finally admitted he was thinking of selling, it was to some chain that wanted to turn the place into a payday loan storefront. Olivia heard herself answer before her brain caught up. Sell it to me instead. He laughed at first, then saw she was serious. The negotiation was not glamorous. It involved bank statements, a business valuation that made the shop look worse than it felt, and a loan officer who spoke to her like she was playing store. She used a small slice of the Bitcoin, converted slowly and cleanly, to cover the down payment. The rest of the purchase was a modest business loan that she accepted because she wanted the paper trail, the legitimacy. At closing, at a bland table in a strip mall bank office, she signed her name next to his and walked out as the owner of a failing pawn shop on a tired corner. That was when the fun started. She cleared out the rusty lawnmowers and wedding dresses and turned the front half into a bright tech resale floor. Refurbished laptops, cleaned phones, game consoles with actual warranties. She paid local college kids to help her with repairs and taught herself board-level soldering on weekends. The old neon pawn sign stayed as a nod to what the building had been, but she rebranded the place as Reboot Exchange. People laughed at the name until they saw the prices. Then they told friends. She also did one more thing. In a plain envelope with no return address, she mailed a prepaid debit card loaded with a few $1,000s to the man who had abandoned the PC, using the address from the old form. It was not proportional to what had come out of his machine. It was something she could live with. Years later, when customers asked how she had started the business, she never mentioned Bitcoin, mining wallets, or forgotten passwords. She said she got lucky with a pile of old parts and decided to take it seriously. In private, she knew it was only half the truth. The other half was that the real discovery had not been in the hard drive, but in the moment she chose to own what she had found and build something steady out of it, instead of just cashing out and disappearing. And every time she turned the key in the lock of her own shop in the morning, that felt like the real payout.